Hey there, everyone. My name is Jason Cannon, and welcome to this basic vocal warm-up. Now, most of you watching this video probably have done a class or a workshop with me in person, and I've probably inflicted a lot of these vocal warm-ups on you in person as part of our fuller physical and vocal warm-up. So I'm creating this video as a resource that can be evergreen for you to remind you of the various vocal things that you want to focus on to prepare to act, speak, tell your story, basically get on stage and utilize your voice to the best of your ability. If you are new to the Jason Cannon experience, such as it is, welcome, and I do hope we get to work together in person someday. So, you'll always want to start off when you're preparing to perform by warming up your body. Now, because of the way this is all set up here, I'm not going to go too deep into that with this video. I'll do a physical video later. But this one, because we're a little compressed in the space and we're focusing on lips, teeth, tongue, and voice, just know this. Get your body ready however your body needs to get ready. I'll give you an example. When I was performing a Shakespeare play with a big broadsword fight, in an outdoor amphitheater, I had to warm up my body very differently than when I was doing a small drama in a little black box theater. That's the thing. There's not one perfect way to warm up your body. If you have done any athletics in the past, you know that a runner has to warm up differently than a basketball player, than a football player, and even football players warm up differently based on what position they play, right? If you're a quarterback, you got to get that shoulder loose. But if you're a lineman, you got to make sure you're ready to be grounded and take on all that force. So based on what performance you're about to give, what story you're about to tell, be sure you warm up your body, stretch, whatever feels good to you. And of course, our bodies are all different. We have different limitations, different strengths. Warm up in the way that is best conducive to your body being fluid, being loose. And again, the number one thing, get rid of the tension. We don't want tension in your instrument anywhere. And I don't just mean instrument your voice. I mean your body as a communicative instrument. Get rid of the tension, whatever it takes. And again, there's not one right way to warm up. Adapt your physical warm-up to the situation. You may not have as much time one day. You may have to warm up physically in the car if you're running late, and you got to figure out a way to do that. Again, we'll talk physical in a different video. I'm going to focus on voice here now. But the first step is always get the body ready, because the voice doesn't exist separately from the body. Right? The voice is part of your body. So get that body loose, relaxed, eliminate as much tension as possible, and then we can focus on the voice. That being said, there are so many muscles in your face and jaw that create sound. So we're going to stretch out the face first. Okay? So it's going to look like this. Pardon the glasses. You're going to start by squishing your face into the tip of your nose, your entire face. And yes, I know this could turn into real good blackmail material someday, but that's okay. You're going to take your entire face, shrink it down to the tip of the nose, tip of the nose. And when you think you're there, you can go further. Tip of the nose. And then you're going to blow your face out like the Big Bang. As wide as you can go, as round as you can go, pulling every muscle as far away. Then back to the tip of the nose, the big crunch. Tip of the nose, tip of the nose. Now we're going to go nice and tall and thin. Imagine strings in your chin, the top of your forehead here, and pulling your face this way. Thin and tall. And then back to the tip of the nose. There you go, tip of the nose, whole face right here. Now wide and flat. Strings right here. Tip of the nose, tip of the nose. And now catty corner. A string right here, and pull the face sideways, catty corner on an angle. It's like Joe Pesci in Home Alone, right? Crunch it back in. Now other way. Pull that face. pull it, and then chew it out. Mwah. 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 That should already feel like you're tingling everywhere in the face, right? You've activated muscles you don't necessarily always use, right? And that's fine. That's the whole point. We're getting the face warmed up after the body's warmed up, because the face is where the sound comes from. It's not where the sound starts from. It's where it comes from. We'll get to more on that later. All right, we're going to start loosening up the lips now. So it's going to look like this. And if my mic pops, I've got a guard on it, but just in case, you might want to turn the volume down just a little bit. We're going to start by getting the mouth and jaw nice and loose. See, it's so loose. Again, the ultimate goal is always releasing tension. Tension gets in the way of your communication, of your emotion, of your clarity, right? So again, loose lips, loose lips. Again, I'm not going to know until later what this sounds like with this really nice mic that my girlfriend bought for me. But we're going to do the lips again. Great. Now just a little bit of control. You're going to start the lips really small, that breath, and then let it take over your face. It'll look like this. Ooh, I messed that one up. And that's okay. It's never going to be perfect. Even if you practice and practice and practice, sometimes you're going to miss. That's all right. Here we go again. I'm getting spit all over my screen, and that's totally fine too. Spit is just part of vocal creation. You saw, though, how the sound started small and took over my face. One more time. So loose, so relaxed, so relaxed. Great. Notice that I haven't used my voice yet, right? It's just breath. Now we're going to do that same thing, but with the voice now. Bring the voice sound to that same lip flipping breath. And kind of move the sound up and down the scale. We're just gently warming up the voice. Ah. And again, those of you who have been with me in person, you've seen this happen in person. So this is more a reminder. But for those of you who are new, again, we start with just the breath, then bring in the voice. Bring in the voice after the breath is ready to go. Okay? I always like to finish this one by driving my motorcycle off a cliff. It looks like this. Wile E. Coyote, right? Great. Moving on now. Still connecting breath and voice. If there is only one warm-up you can do, if you only have time for one warm-up, do this one. Find your natural voice. This one's great for the shower while you're driving anytime. In American English, we tend to talk very much through our nose, and it's very flat. Whenever Brits or Australians, when the actors from those countries perform an American accent, they just talk through their nose really flat. There's no musicality like in those other versions of English, in the American version. Hasn't always been that way, but that's kind of where we live now. So we also tend to put a lot of stress and tension right here. You'll hear it in my voice. I'm speaking from here, from heart zero. But often we'll talk up in here with strain through the nose, adding a little bit of extra strain in our throats. You can probably hear the difference from this is kind of typical American English down into where I just live naturally. See, I used to teach and act for hours and hours. I would go 10, 12 hours talking a day, and I would come home with my voice roached until I learned how to speak from here. It's going to sound counterintuitive, but your strongest, most natural, most resonant voice is the voice that takes the least amount of work. Okay, as soon as you stop working so hard, you drop into your true resonance, into your heart center. So I want your natural voice, your zero voice, as in zero like on a graph, where zero isn't a bad thing. It's not negative or pejorative. It's just there's no work involved, right? And that's your voice here, okay? So this is a very simple warm-up. You're just going to go ha-hum-ma. It looks like this. Ha-hum-ma. Okay, that's it. Ha-hum-ma. You want to think of it as a string pulling your sternum out, and then with no work, the weight of your rib cage just pushes your lungs down and forces the sound out without you having to muscularly, oh, you're not pushing the sound out. It's just ha-hum-ma. And that M feels really good, right? It's sound therapy basically for yourself, but you want your sound coming from here. No strain, no strain, no strain. Here. Your richest voice, and honestly, the voice from which you have the most dynamic opportunity. High, low, fast, slow, stop, go. All of your dynamic, whether it's character voice, whether it's high or low, if you start from zero, you have everywhere to go. It gives you the maximum amount of dynamic range to speak from here. You can speak the longest from here because you're not putting nearly as much strain on your vocal cords or your muscles. It's also your most pleasant sounding voice. I know we all hate the sound of our voices, right? It's a thing I hate the sound of my voice. If you talk from here, you'll learn to love your voice. Ha-hum-ma. Now the ma is important. You notice I always gesture with my arm as well. When you're on your feet and doing this in space, always remember that your words have to reach back row, back corner. Now, if you're speaking to the camera like I am right now, I'm actually not projecting hardly at all because this mic is really sensitive. My distance of communication is very short. It's only about a foot. But if I was in a theater, I'd have to reach however far that is. Every theater is a different size and shape too, right? But as long as you think of back row, back corner, then everyone else is going to hear you. If you're communicating with that person, back row, back corner, you're communicating with everybody. That's why this gesture, it reminds you that your story is an offering. It's a gift, and you've got to get it to the person who is furthest away. Ha-hum-ma. Now with this warm-up, you want to explore your range again too. Go high, go low. Ha-hum-ma. But still not straining, not pushing, not muscularly doing work, just letting your rib cage do it for you. Ha-hum-ma. Ha-hum-ma. And then you always want to finish with true zero. Ha-hum-ma. And that is your true voice. Your true voice. If you can learn to live there, you will be so much happier. You will be so much more at ease, more grounded, and your story will travel further. I promise. So we've got our breath. We've got our voice a bit warmed up. Okay. We're going to explore now the top of our range. All right. So we're going to wind up a laser beam of sound and shoot it out of the top of our heads. This one's going to be a little bit trickier to do on camera, but that's all right. You can stick with me. It's going to look like this. And again, Wile E. Coyote, right? Now the trick here is you want to ride the scale all the way down with full breath support the whole way. So you don't get quieter. It's not ooh. It doesn't get quieter. You want to keep the volume, maintain the volume, and just until you're out of air, keep the volume the same. One more time. Ooh, supporting, supporting. And notice I kept the volume the same even as I came down the scale. You want to control the breath. You probably also heard me go from ooh, from, I call it the puberty break. Just be aware of that. Be aware of where your voice goes from falsetto to normal. It's going to break there, right? So that's something to be aware of, especially if you're singing or giving a big speech. If you're taking on a character voice in your story, be aware of where that break is. And that break can change up to 2 or 3 notes based on if you're sick, based on congestion, if you just had dairy or bread, if it's more humid somewhere, if it's less humid somewhere, if all those different things can impact. So another reason to do these warm-ups is to do a self-diagnostic check-in, kind of feel where you are. I still have my glasses off. Feel where you are and get a sense of what your voice is doing today. I can put these back on now because I've stretched my voice out. All right, so we've got the breath, we've got the vocal apparatus, and now it's time for the elocution, right? Doesn't matter how large you are if we can't understand you. The thing to keep in mind, vowels carry sound and consonants create meaning. Consonants cut up vowels into words. So those are the two things to keep in mind about the letters we use. They serve different purposes. And the more you understand this stuff, the easier it becomes to manipulate your own voice and your own storytelling. Vowels carry the sound. Consonants create meaning out of those sounds, right? So we do our vowels not in the alphabetical order A, E, I, O, U. We do it in the phonetic order. Watch my mouth. E, A, I, O, U. It makes one big circle by going E-I-O, E-I-O, as opposed to A-E-I-O. A-E kind of, we jump back and forward in our vocal apparatus there. The muscles kind of have to go back and forth. So by practicing this with E-A-I-O-U, we can keep going physically, muscularly, in a very gentle and more helpful physical pattern, all right? So we're going to start with a very simple little exercise for the vowels. Now again, vowels carry the sound, consonants create meaning. So we're going to do a BZ. It'll look like this. Bazee, bazay, bazai, bazo, bazoo. You kind of want to overdo it like a baseball player who swings two bats in the on-deck circle so that when they come up with one bat, it feels lighter. You want to overdo this in your warm-up so that when you just have to speak normally later, it's easier, right? It feels like less work. Bazee, bazay, bazai, bazo, bazoo. And as you get clarity in the delivery of that, you can speed it up. Bazee, bazay, bazai, bazo, bazoo. Don't aim for speed first, aim for clarity, and then speed up after you have the clarity. We go from BZ to PS. Pasi, pasay, pasai, paso, pasu. Bazee, bazay, bazai, bazo, bazoo. Pasi, pasay, pasai, paso, pasu. And do those as often as you want to, as often as it feels good or you have time for, as you feel you're getting benefit from it. Now we're going to stick now with the consonants. All right, with the consonants. We're going to go from a 4 to an 8 to a 16. If you're a musician, we're just subdividing. It's going to look like this. Ba, 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 ba. Hear that? It goes from 4 to 8 to 16. And notice again, the last one, the ba, is a gift. We always send it out to back row, back corner, to the audience. It is ever and always for them. We do this preparation so we can serve them. So give yourself a big physical gesture with that ba. Again, if we were in space together or I had a full body shot, you'd see me being super physical with all this. I'm trying to do the hands without making you seasick. But share that to back row, back corner. All right, so with the B again, just for repetition. Ba, 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 ba. And you can do it in different points in your voice. Ba, 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 ba. Feel free to ride up and down your scale through all of that, okay? And then do different consonants. I like to go from B to D. Da, 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 da. The important thing when you get to the 16 is not to tighten up. Again, we don't want tension. So it's not da, 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 da. We're not forcing the D, it's easy. It's like driving over speed bumps. It's relaxed. It's easy. Easy. Right? That's what we're aiming for, is that ease. And then do as many consonants as you want. Right? Or if there are certain consonants in your speech or story that you know you have to hit a lot, focus on those. But make it more progressively difficult. L is pretty fun. La, 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 la. The L is pretty fun. W is like a full face one. Wah, 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 wah. So you can do CH, cha cha cha, SH, sha sha sha, F, fa fa fa. You can do any combination. TR is a tricky one. STR, stra, a lot of work. So again, you can make this one adapt to whatever consonants you think you need to work on. Now we get to my second favorite warm-up. If you only have time for 2 warm-ups, do the ha-humma and do this next one, the budda-gudda. So some setup here. This is going to help you understand where the sound comes from and how sounds are related. So your B, your ba, 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 ba. It's in the front, right? Ba, 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 ba. Your D, da, da, top of the mouth, right? Right there. Then your G, g, back here, g, g, g. So we have front, middle, back. Ba, da, ga, da, ba, da, ga, da. And the rocking, especially as you're learning this for the first time, the rocking back and forth can help. It's like one of those little birds in the water, right? You want to rock back and forth. Ba, da, ga, da, ba, da, ga, da. All right. And again, it's not tight. Ba, da, ga. Or not tight. Ba, da, ga, da, ba, da, ga, da. What we want to do is get into that pattern so that we can then get on the train and speed it up. It looks like this. Ba-da-ga-da, 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 breathe when you have to. Ba-da-ga-da, 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 ba-da-ga-da. Right? You can speed it up to the point that it's ridiculous. Don't do speed first, do clarity first. Ba-da-ga-da. Front, middle, back, middle, front, middle, back, middle, front, middle, back, middle, front, middle, back, middle, ba-da-ga-da, 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 ba. Now, if you take the voice away, ba-da-ga-da becomes pa-ta-ka-ta. Because your B, ba-ba-ba-ba, is just a P, pa-pa-pa-pa, with voice. Pa-ba-pa-ba. P and B are the same, just voiced versus unvoiced. Ba, pa, ba, pa, right? So the D, da, 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 unvoiced, ta, 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 T, right? Ta, da, ta, da. Physically, muscularly, the same thing. T is unvoiced, D is voiced. Only difference. Then back here, your G, 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 becomes k, 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 right? So ba, da, ga, da becomes pa, ta, ka, ta. From voiced to unvoiced. Same thing. Start clear, then get on the train. Patakata, 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 patakata. Breathe when you have to. Patakata, 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 pa. There's a third version here. Front, ma, 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 ma. Front, M, ma. Roof of the mouth, na, 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 na. N, na. And then back here, where the G and the K live, is your NG. Like at the end of swimming, you can probably say, boy, that probably looks really weird on video. I'm so sorry. In person, that's far less offensive. But again, it's just front, middle, back, middle. Ma, na, 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 ma, na, na, na. Front, middle, back, middle. M, N, na, na, ma, na, 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 ma, na, na, na. Manangana, 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 manangana. Again, get clear first, then add your speed. So you've got badagada, padakada, manangana, badagada, padakada, manangana. And you can start giving yourself any sort of weird variation to play with it. Again, this one is so good for getting you loose, for kind of hitting all the different consonants and places in your mouth and just getting you ready. If you can only do 2 warm-ups, ha-humma, badagada. And those will get you at least partially ready, if not fully ready. The last little variation you can do on this one, if you want to really level it up, is you can reverse it partway through. Instead of butta-gutta, you've got gutta-butta. Gutta-butta, 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 gutta-butta. And you can bounce back and forth. Butta-gutta, gutta-butta, butta-gutta, gutta-butta, butta-gutta, gutta-butta, butta-gutta, gutta-butta. Putta-gutta-gutta-putta, putta-gutta-gutta-putta. Mana-gana-gana-mana, mana-gana-gana-mana. That's after weeks of practice. I was touring with the Children's Theater for a year, and every morning when we got to the school, we'd set up the set, and then we'd have half an hour by ourselves to stretch, warm up, and then a half-hour group warm up. And that's where a lot of these have been stolen from. And who knows where they stole them from themselves. But that's why this is now like breathing to me. It's so easy. It's playing my scales, right? It's shooting free throws, right? It's getting my mise en place ready for, it's chopping onions. It's anything that is the basic rudimentary skills that come into play to get to the point where I can create the story on stage without having to think about how my mouth is doing this. All right, next one. In American English, we often go down at the ends of our sentences, right? That's another reason to do the ba at the end, is to train ourselves to put that sound out. The other thing we do in American English by going down is we swallow the ends of things. But sentences in American English are often constructed where the most important word, the money word, is at the end. So we want to hit that. The other thing about words themselves is that in American English, we'll often swallow the ends of the words themselves. Ending consonants are some of your best friends, especially if you have to cut through space in a live performance. That ending consonant cuts through space and creates clarity like you wouldn't believe. So here's how we do that. Remember we had bazee, bazay, bazai, bazo, bazoo? Same vocal pattern, but now we're going to put ending consonants on each vowel. I always start with NT. Int, ain't, eint, ont, unt. If you do it really strong, it almost sounds German. Int, ain't, eint, ont, unt, right? But again, we don't want to overstrain. It's just aiming for that closing consonant. You want to stick the landing with those ending consonants, or think of them as trampolines into the next word if you want. Whatever helps you get to the point where you are hitting those ending consonants. Int, ain't, eint, ont, unt. And then put whatever consonant at the end you need to practice with. Ebe, abe, ibe, obe, oob, eek, ache, ike, oak, ook, eat, ate, ite, oat, oot. I like to give myself some tricky ones like THES, like in clothes. Eaths, eighths, iths, oaths, ooths. Okay to slow down because you're going to say that word slow anyway. Then my final three with this one, I like to do PS, SP, and SPS. It goes like this. PS, eeps, apes, ipes, opes, oops, like a snare or a cymbal. Then SP, easp, asp, isp, osp, oosp. Then SPS, a lot of work. Easps, asps, isps, osps, oosps. Ending consonants. Very, very useful. We're almost there. Buzzers. Another great sound to help you cut through space are buzzers. We have three of them. We have the V, the Z, and the JH. I'll get to that one. Just hang tight. The V, this is very simple. We're just going to sit on the buzz and again, send the sound out. Vim, vin, ving. And feel that buzz, that vibration in your lips and your jaw from the V. Now the Z. Zim, zin, zing. And again, explore your range. That Z is a sneaky one. We often think that plurals end with S, but phonetically they end with Z. Like cars. It's not cars, it's C-A-R-S, multiple, like a multiple of automobile. It's not cars, it's cars. That S is actually a Z sound. Your plurals especially have sneaky Z's in there. So getting that Z going is really useful. And then JH. This is like the sound at the end of cage or rage. That kind of, it's sort of SH, but with voice, and a buzz. So the JH. Jim, jin, jing. At this point, you might be a little sweaty, but you definitely want to be warmed up. Everything back row, back corner. Now, of course, this is a place where if you have any favorite tongue twisters, this would be the place to do them. Or if you have a particular speech or line that is especially tricky phonetically in your story, this would be the place just to give yourself a few dry runs on the especially sticky parts of your story, just to get the bad ones out. But yes, this half hour should get your voice really, really ready. And again, start with the body, then the breath, then the vowels, the voice, and then the consonants, the elocution. If you follow those steps, you will get yourself ready to perform to whatever your audience is, whether it's a camera. I did a version of this warm-up before I started filming, or whether you're live in a space. Hope you find this helpful. Feel free to reach out to me. Hit me with questions if you have other things you want to offer, or a favorite tongue twister, or you want more exercises like this to help. But this gives you a really strong foundation. I cannot wait to hear your story.